Recording in progress.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Chav Daled Chav Hey.
Okay.
So let's start with the Mishnah, the Nuterik Chav Gimel Beis, and away we go. Arusa v'Shemeres Yavam. So we have two women in the same category. Arusa is a woman who is betrothed. She's not fully married yet. She only did the kedushin part, not the chuppah, not the nesuin, and the man who she is her arus, right? The man who she's engaged to, betrothed to. So he warns her, stay away from Bab, and of course she was seen in seclusion with Bab or Shomeres Yavam, a woman. She was married to Ruvain. Mama's just started. She married to Ruvain, and Ruvain died with no children, and Shimon is there, and Shimon says, hey, stay away from Bab, and she doesn't. She's in seclusion. So they are not given the opportunity to drink, and therefore they do not get their any sort of ksuba. Shnamar, as the pasuk says, Asher. I always you have to double check over here. Is it Tista? Asher Tista Isha Tachas Isha. Isha. Yeah. Right. The Geish and the Hey Ish Shala. Right. So that she right? Yeah, come on. Yeah. We learned something. No, I said I knew it. I knew it. Yeah. So so that which she betrayed, while she was, with her husband, beneath her husband, Tachas Isha. So these men are not her ish, right? The Yavam who's waiting for Yibum, the brother didn't perform Yibum yet. The Arus didn't perform Nesuin yet. So therefore, she's excluded from the parsha of Sota. So Prala Arus l'Shemeres Yavam to exclude Arus l'Shemeres Yavam. Now, next category of women. Now, there's also, let's say, someone who marries someone who was not allowed to. There was some sort of law or a rabbinic decree that they shouldn't go ahead and get married, such as Alman the Kohen Gadol, right? A widow is married to a Kohen Gadol. Now, this is a full marriage. They were married. The kedushin is kal, or Gerusha Chulutza Kohen Hedyot, or a woman who was divorced from her previous husband, married a Kohen, or a woman who had chalitza from her first husband's or her brother-in-law, and then she married a Kohen, the Kohen Hedyot, or Mamzeres Nasina Yisrael, or Mamzeres Nasina who married a Yisrael, right? Nasina was from the Givonim, also of Yisrael, Basrael Mamzer Nasina. So all these women, if they were warned and they were witnessed to be in seclusion, then they were not given the opportunity to drink, and they are divorced without a ksuba. There's another category of women who don't drink, and they don't get their ksuba. A woman says, yes, I am guilty, all right, of adultery, or shabala edim, she tmeya, or there are witnesses that witness her that she was tmeya, the maisabiyah. Or a woman, let's say, even before the parchment gets erased, she says, I refuse to drink, so therefore we don't necessarily force her to drink, but she doesn't drink and doesn't get her ksuba. Now, Amar Baila Eini Mashka, if the husband says, you know what, we'll work things out through therapy, we'll go to couples therapy, you don't have to drink, or with Shabala Bala B'derech, or they were going to court and then they had relations. Naitlas Ksuva V'leishasa. So they can't drink, but she does get a ksuva because this is on the husband at this point. Now, regular case, Mesu Balehan, a regular case, and the husband dies. So she was waiting to be a sota to prove her innocence or find out if she was guilty. And he died. So basically, before she had an opportunity to drink, Beishamai says, you know what? She can get her ksuba, but she can't drink. Even if she remarries, once that husband dies, it's only that husband who can go ahead and make her drink, and therefore she does not go ahead and drink in that case. But she does receive her ksuba. She has a lien basically on his assets, and therefore she has her ksuba. She can collect it. But no. The rule is she has to drink, and then to prove her innocence in order to get her ksuba, and therefore oshosos. Either she drinks, which she technically cannot, and therefore another ksuba son, or she doesn't get her ksuba. So since she can't drink this case, basically Beis Hillel says you don't get your money. So Beis Shammai says you get your money, even though you can't drink. Beis Hillel says no, since you can't drink, you don't get your money, you don't get your ksuba. Next case. Muberes Chaveiro, Menigas Chaveiro. So they have a case, the Chazal say that a man cannot go ahead and marry a woman who basically has a child under the age of 2, and certainly if she's pregnant, because she has to go ahead and raise and nurse her child. Husband number 2 does not care about the previous child, and therefore we're worried that she'll get pregnant again, won't be able to nurse, and something then this will be bad for the first child from her previous husband. So if a woman was, let's say, pregnant from a previous marriage and she got divorced or widowed, so Meberes Menegas Chaveiro lo Ishaisis lo Naitas Ksuba Divrei Reb Meir. So this goes in the category of you weren't supposed to be married before. You shouldn't have married her. Now, he took a married woman, and then all of a sudden, this married woman was hanging out with Bob, and he warned her to stay away from Bob, and she was seen in seclusion with Bob. So since he shouldn't have married her in the first place, right? Just like the case of Kohen Gadol Almana, right? Or these other cases we listed. So therefore, says Reb Meir, no, you can't drink, and then you don't get ksuba and out of here. I mean, no. Yachahi la frisha la chzira. No, he can go ahead. You can divorce her. He's not usher to this woman. He married her too soon. Divorce her, take her back in 2 years when the baby is 2 years old. So you can take her back later on. So therefore, she can go ahead and drink and prove her innocence.
Wait, if she's Muberes
From another man.
from another guy,
Yes.
or she's nursing the child, somebody else is not supposed to marry her?
Correct.
After the 3 months,
Even after 3 months. Right?
She's nursing.
Yep.
And if she's not pregnant, you wait 3 months.
Year and a half to 2
Right.
years.
Look at here, Rashi. Muberes Chavero. Muberes Chavero is a quick Rashi. Right, Shemes, right? That she was her friend, right? The Chavera, he was one Shemes. He died. Vanicha Muberes and left her Muberes Umanika. Osha Girsha, either he died and left her pregnant or nursing, or he divorced her. V'hiya Muberes Umanika. V'asur Chachamim linase ach they have Vlad ben Beis Shana. Shkach Zman Yini Kaso. Right? The Chazal said that she should not get married up to 2 years, because that is the zman of his nursing. Right, and then this guy went over and married her within that time period. V'kinalan warned her, right? He can't make a drink because he's not allowed to go ahead and keep her. So that was Chazal said, 2 years. Now there is no right, like we said, and there is no confusion anyways. I mean, we recognize that she's already Muberes, right? She was obviously already beyond 3 months. So nevertheless, she should not get married.
So this is a Takanos Chachamim.
Yes, right. Chachamim, right. Vasura Chacham, right. Back in the Mishnah. So islandess, a woman who never had physical signs of maturity and therefore will not be able to ever have children. The Zakena, or a woman, I guess the menopause, a woman who already is no longer able to have children. Or maybe someone, a woman who drank something that caused her to become impotent, to not be able to have children. If she's married to a man or somebody who has never had children, so he's not allowed to stay with her because he's not allowed to be with her. He has an obligation of peruvu, and therefore, since he can't stay with her, Chazal say you shouldn't be married to her. So therefore, she doesn't drink. However, no, I have a good idea. Take a second wife, and therefore there's no isser the gabi this one. Right? So and to have children from her. And a regular woman, so they always have an option. Either you drink, prove your innocence, and then ultimately you get paid, or you don't want to drink, that's fine, but you got to get divorced. You can't be with your husband, and you don't get your ksuba. And Aisha's Kohen, and a wife of a Kohen, also Shesa, Materas Labala, if she drinks and is fine, then she's mutter to her husband, right? The Gemara will explain why we need that. Aisha's Sris Shesa, also the woman of a Sris drinks Al Yedei Shesa, a wife of a Sris, someone who is also, I guess he can't have children. He can make her drink. Ayidei kol arayis, Makanin, one can go ahead and warn about all arayis. In other words, let's say your husband says, you're hanging, you're spending too much time with your father or with your brother or any other arayis that she's usher to, or father's brother, whatever it is. he is allowed to go ahead and warn her, and if she is witness in seclusion, then she is a sota. Chutz mina katan ish, except for a katan, someone who is not ray labia, because he has to have and ray labia for a male is 9 years, and also misheina ish, someone who is not an ish. I did not look beyond what this means. Rashi says the first Gemara, so we'll see there when we get to Mitzvah Shem. The elu should base the mekan of the head, and also Basin can actually step in and give warning in lieu of the husband. What is the case? Mishin is charesh bala. If their husband became a deaf mute, or lishtate, or we went crazy, or she he was locked up in jail for many years, and she's seeing hanging around because she doesn't really have an active, husband. She's seeing hanging around a guy. Basically, can come in and say, you're not acting appropriately. We're warning you to stay away from Bob. And and it's not necessarily to go ahead and because if she's guilty, then she has to go ahead and drink. Rather to go ahead and parcel her from her ksuba. In other words, that she loses out on her money. She can't drink, but nevertheless, she was witnessed in seclusion after she was warned. Then she loses her ksuba. Rabbi Yossi, no, she could drink, right? Right? When the husband comes out of jail, so then at that point you can go ahead and basically make her drink based upon the kina, the warning of base. Fine, that was the Mishnah. Zok the Gemara. Now, so we started off with Arusa and a Shomeris Yavam. So Mishta, who the Leishasya, we said over there that an Arusa or Shomeris Yavam do not go ahead and drink. But he can go ahead and warn his Arusa. He's only engaged to her, betrothed her, right? She's still living in her father's house, or Shomeris Yavam, or she's living, I guess, in her either her father's house or her husband's house. He can warn her. From the Tanur Rabbanan. It says, Pasuk says, Daber al bnei Yisrael Marta Alehem. So it says, say upon them the extra lashon Marta Alehem. So who does it say to them? Who does that include? Not only a regular husband and wife, but even other cases. So l'rabbis arusa v'shemeres yavam l'kinoi. That comes to include that who else is commanded for so that not only a regular husband, but it says v'amarta aleim. Who does that come to include? Even arusa and shemeres yavam. They are allowed to go ahead and warn. Umasnis and mani, and who is our Mishnah like? Rabbi Yonasan. They're going to be like our Mishnah is going to be like Rabbi Yonasan, which is going to be a machlekes. Let's see. The pasuk says there's two psukim. One pasuk in pasuk Yutes, and the other one is Chav Tes. Let's see. So the first pasuk says Tacha. This is all the parsha of Sota
that they just brought.
Yeah, that's at the beginning.
Yeah, what's this context?
Daber al bnei Yisrael martelem ish ki sista ishto umalavo mo. Right, the beginning of parsha of Sota.
Oh.
Beginning of the parsha of Sota. Introduction. Now. So it says so it says Rabbi Yonasan says pasuk says tachas isheich, right? In other words, that you basically betrayed your husband while you were tachas isheich, while you were with your husband. In other words, while you were living with him. So rusa that would exclude a woman who's only engaged because she's not tachas isheich, she's tachas avia, right? She's living in her father's house still. So yachol shani moitzi af shomeres yavam. I might exclude also shomeres yavam. Tamalema. Therefore, it says ish. Right, the actual words from the first pasuk. So it says ish div Rabbi Yoshia. So that includes shomeres yavam. So according to Rabbi Yoshia, shomeres yavam does drink. A arusa does not. Only one is excluded. Right, our Mishnah said both. So that was Rabbi Yoshia. So Rabbi Yoshia argues by shomeres yavam. Rabbi Yoshia said, no. Tachas isheich probably shomeres yavam. That excludes the shomeres yavam. No, the shomeres yavam does not drink. So Aitzi Shomeres Yavam V'Aitzi as a Rusa. Maybe only a Shomeres Yavam doesn't drink, but a Rusa would drink. I don't exclude an Rusa. Tamulemar. So then another passage says Asher Tista Isha Tachas Isha. Right. So it says over there that which she did. Right. She betrayed. She was unfaithful. Beneath, once again, tachas isha, right? Beneath her husband, right? So prat liarusa, that pasuk comes to exclude an arusa. So according to Rabbi Yonasan, an arusa and a shomeres yavam are excluded from sota, which is the same as our Mishnah. Rabbi Yosha, so Rabbi Yosha and Rabbi Yonasan argue on a Shomer Yavam. They both agree that an Arusa does not drink, but when it comes to Shomer Yavam, our Mishnah and Rabbi Yonasan says she also does not drink like an Arusa, and Rabbi Yosha says no, she does drink. So Marli Malay Arusa the Al Yada. So one says no. Arusa is more right, is more his wife, and therefore should drink because why? Because an Arusa, it was his kedushin. He was the one who initiated right her relationship with him. Right, it was as opposed to like his brother marrying her and then his brother dying without children. So since it is his kedushin. And if she commits adultery while she's in Arusa, still in her father's house, she would get skila, she would get stoned. So you see, that's more like her husband, so therefore she should be included. But Mar Limalei L'Shomer Yavam says, no, Shomer Yavam is really closer to him, to a husband. Why? Because there is no chuppah required, it's just ma'aseh, there's no chuppah. Rabbi Yonasan, hi. So now the Gemara says to them, Rabbi Yonasan, hi, ish, ma'aved. What do you do with the pasuk of ish? That was included, that we said earlier, right? Included a Shomer Yavam to Sota. So my avilei. So mibaylei l'rabbis eishes cherish ve'eishes shaita ve'eishes shimon. Right? So that comes to include that the basin can go ahead and warn a man, right? Ish comes to include even basin can go ahead and warn the wife if someone's a deaf mute or who went crazy or somebody who is heartbroken and has severe depression and from broken heart. Such a person can basin can warn. We know that from the pasuk of Ish. Fine. Rabbi Yeshua hi tachas isha. My avile. So why was Rabbi Yeshua do with the second pasuk, the second tachas pasuk that Rabbi Yonasan darshan? My avile. Lahakish ish leisha veisha leish. So that comes to include a hekesh. Once again, Rashi does not tell us here. It's a brayso here at the end of this parak, and over there we'll discuss what it is. But basically, it's used for another hekesh. This pasuk is used by Rabbi Yeshua. Fine. So 3 lines. So the reason why they are excluded, an Arusa and a Shomer Yavam are excluded, is because there's a miyut in the psukim. Halav hachi, but if it wasn't for that, hava mina Arusa shas. So I would have thought
what is the miyut?
Tachas ishek, right? Those, so you have to be living with your husband, excluding a Shomer Yavam and a Arusa. So,
Arusa obviously needs to get out of it.
Yes.
And also, does she get a ksuba in Arusa?
Yeah, that was what we saw, right? So, right. So over here, so in this case, halav hachi, Arusa would drink. I v'haki asura b'acha bar chanina midrayim. When he came from the south, also v'aisim asayis b'yada. He had a brayso in his hand, and the pasuk says milba di sheikh. The pasuk over there says, right, you were unfaithful, right? It says over there, you became tameh, right, with somebody besides your husband. And what do you learn from what you dash there? Mishakin mashchivas ba'al l'boyel. It means you were with someone besides your husband. When I would say you were someone besides your husband, means you're already with your husband, and then you were with somebody else. So we learn over there, she has to have shchivas ba'al l'boyel, that she has to have been with her husband first, and then this guy who she was warned from Bob. And not that she was, only with the boyel before the bow.
There's no
If that-
Havamina by Arusa.
So is that the case? If that's one of the requirements, so how could you have a Arusa who was
But there's no
right.
Havamina.
Right? Why would you thought in the first place? Right? The Arusa was living in her father's house. The Shomer Yavam was still in her, in her husband's house, the brother's house. She was never performed Yibum yet. So why do you need a pasuk to be Mamayit if it should be excluded altogether? So Amar Rabbi Chama, Mishkach Chazak going Shabal Arus Bevei Savia, which I wasn't so happy with because I have a caution or whatever. So because why? Because we could be dealing with a case where there are cases where he was Bala Bevei Savia. Now that doesn't make it Nesuin just because he had relations with her. He wasn't supposed to, right? And it also does not make them married, but technically she was with the Baal first, right? It's funny because oftentimes the Gemara asks, right? My problem was oftentimes the Gemara asks, right? We don't make psukim for cases of sinners, right? So over
For
here,
real, they did this for real, right?
What?
Can you-
right? So that was right. Right. So that was the whole thing over there. But we're talking about a case of where he shouldn't have been with her, but he was with her. So technically, that such an arus, he was with her first, and therefore such a person go ahead and warn her first. So Gemara says, okay, I'll give you that one. All right, I'll give you the first round. The kvase. So what are you gonna say? Gavi shomer siyavam. What are you gonna say? Shomer siyavam. She was living in her brother's house, the one who died, and then Shimon came over, and then they had relations, but he didn't marry her yet. Or he went to to her either her house or her father's house. So he was Baal Leha. You're going to call her Shomer Siyavam? She's not a Shomer Siyavam anymore. If he has relations with her, it's his wife. That's how Yibam works. It doesn't make a difference if he was Mechaven or not, right? If he was Mechaven for Znus and he was Baal her, right? She is technically his wife now. So how could it be that he was ready with her, yet she's still a Shomer Siyavam? It doesn't make sense. That's called Ishto. The Daham Rav, Karlakol. So according to Rav, is Karlakol.
When we did Yevamos. Didn't we say that that the act of Yibum did not require Kavana?
That's what I just said. That's what Rav just said. That's what Rav just said. So Gemara says no. Arguing Kishmuel. There's actually no. There's another opinion, right? There's also an opinion of Shmuel. The Omar Leikana El Dvarim Ha'arim B'Parsha. It's not he doesn't fully require it. If he was not Machami, he's Machami Biznos. He says, you know what? I'm gonna have a relationship with you. Doesn't mean I'm doing Bia, right? It doesn't mean I'm doing Yibum. I still might do, Chalitza or divorce you, whatever it is. But I'm gonna we'll have relations, but I haven't made up my mind yet. I'll check it out, take it for a test drive, right? Leikana El Dvarim Ha'arim B'Parsha. He does require, but not for everything. He's not a complete wife. Only for things like Yerusha, things like now she needs a get instead of just chalitza, but not everything. For instance, if he was a Kohen, right, she wouldn't be able to eat truma. So things like that. So not everything says she was. So she's not completely ishto. She's quasi ishto. So therefore, quasi ishto will call shomer siyavam, and that's how we say Shmuel. So ihachi, if that's yeah, right, exactly. So if that's the case, so lema Rav Damar Rav Yosha. So let's say Rav who says any sort of bia makes her fully husband. So therefore, Shomer Siyavam is not right. Is basically not listed there. And with Shmuel who says you can still be a Shomer Siyavam De'amar Rabbi Yonasan, right? That he will hold like Rabbi Yonasan, that she does not go ahead and drink. Right? So Rav, so Rav would say, I hold like Rabbi Yonasan. It's the opposite, right? Says Rav. He says, I could say like Rabbi Yonasan. Why? By the fact that you need a pasuk to go ahead and exclude, right? It must tell you that, right? By that you have to exclude, so therefore it's telling you that she's really that perhaps she's really his wife. So therefore, that's why. That's why Shomer Siyavam is excluded, because so therefore, so Rav would say, I could say even like Rabbi Yonasan. But the fact that you need the Torah to give you a positive her, right? It must be the Ishtam Alihi. And Shmuel would say the same thing the other way. Shmuel Amar Ana Damri Afilu Rabbi Yeshia. I can say even like Rabbi Yeshia, right? That she would drink. Why? Right? I mean, the by the fact that it means that we need a pasuk to include her, it must be that she's not completely his wife, and therefore she goes ahead and drinks. So therefore, both Rav and Shmuel are not painted in either point. Fine. Now, 3 lines from the top on Chafei and Aleph. This is today's daf. Iboilu, Averes al das. A woman was Averes al das, as Rashi explains. Das Yehudi is not necessarily das much. We'll see that in Ksubas. Actually, we saw it in Ksubas, right? Yeah. We only have Gittin and Gittin and Kedushin left, right? So she's not snua. She goes out. She sews in public, not sneously. She talks to men, right? She goes around. So such a case says over there in Ksubas that Yaitzav Shalom Ksubas. She goes out and she can get divorced and does not get paid because she's not acting appropriately as a daughter of Israel. So if she's over Zadas, Tzricha Asra Lafsida Ksubas. So Tzricha. Does she need a warning to lose her ksuba or not? Me, I'm reading. Do we say even though there's sadas, he like by Yisra, that's in she's over sadas, she does not require a warning. Adilma tiboy Yisra, the hajaba, or maybe we have to go ahead and warn him. This is, then she can improve and give her opportunity to improve her behavior. So Tashma, come and listen. Arusa Vashimis, Yavam Laishai says ksuba. And Arusa Nashimis, Yavam is stated in the first part of our Mishnah, they don't drink, they don't get ksuba. So we learn of the Misha Deloishas. Yaha Kani Mekani Law. So she says she doesn't drink, but you warn her. Now Lamai, why are you warning her? Right? Lav Lasida Ksubasa is it not for her to lose her ksuba? In other words, you need a warning, right? You can't just take away her ksuba. You got to go ahead and warn her. And that's what the Mishnah is talking about. Some Rabbi low. No, maybe it could be another thing, right? For her to be usher to him. In other words, that technically in this, or for her, he has to divorce her. Also, meanwhile, he's technically usher to her. And Rav Papa Amar Lashkaisa Kshi Nesua. So he says no. He can even do it if he warns her while she's in a rusa, and then she's in seclusion. And then he marries her. Or maybe she wasn't. Maybe she was in seclusion afterwards. Then maybe probably couldn't marry her, right? Then, right, right, exactly, right. So that's a nusur. So he says, and then if she's, seen in seclusion with Bob later on after he fully marries her, then that warning which came during the erusin is effective. Kidatani is learning Baisa. We don't go ahead and warn Rusa to make her drink while she's in Rusa. But he could warn her during the Erusin that if she is secluded during the Nesuin, then she drinks that. And Amar Rava, so we were not able to bring the proof of whether we warn her, right, in order for her to lose her ksuv. And Amar Rava, so let's go somewhere else. Tashmakam, listen, Amar L'Kohen Gadol, Grusha Chus L'Kohen Hedyot. We have the second grouping of our Mishnah. It says, "Amar l'Kohen Gadol, Grusha Chutz l'Kohen Hedyot, Mamzers Nasin l'Yisrael, or Bas Yisrael Mamzer Nasin." All these people that one is prohibited to marry, but technically the kedushin is still chal. Once again, the halacha is by them; they cannot drink, and therefore, they lose their ksuba. So
even if he were to divorce. What the husband of one of these women,
right?
She goes out without a ksuba because even though
I think she would, because if she wouldn't get her ksuba, then what do you need her to be a very das? She already lost her ksuba, right? Must be that she does have a right to it, and we probably do not, even though there's a law that she shouldn't have done it. Or he should have done it. Then we don't want Kohanim to go ahead and marry Grushas, because nothing happens to them. They don't lose their kahuna, and then they could just go ahead and throw them in the street because they don't have to give them a ksuba. So
that was like the punishment.
So the one says right. So Mishno de Lashasya Kinu Mekanalahu, but sounds like you're warning. So he does have to warn her for what? So the Mai if it's to answer him like we just had the previous case, assume the kind already answered to them, right? Rather, it must be let's learn here for them to lose their ksuba, and therefore we learn from here they need to warn them. Some Rav Yehuda lo le'isra le'bayel. No, there's another halach ramification that if we go ahead and we warn her, don't hang around Bab, and she's seen with Bab, then even though he has to divorce her, he's not allowed to be with her, she can never go ahead and marry Bab, right? Because as we learned, the Tanakh learned in Mishnah, Shem says asura lebal, kach asura lebayal, just like she's usher to the husband, so too she's usher to the bayal. So therefore, another halachic ramification would be that she's no longer ever allowed to marry Bab. And listen, another attempt. And these are those at the end of our Mishnah. They're based in warns on behalf of the husband. The husband became a deaf mute after they got married, or he went crazy, or he was locked up in jail. So why is that? It says in the Mishnah not to go ahead and drink amru, to rather make them her lose her ksuba. That's why they did it. That's stated in Farish in our Mishnah. So Shema Mina, indeed, learn from here. By Yisra, Shema Mina. Indeed, learn from here. But Farish, very easy teretz to the question. My time Amri Miha. So okay, why did the others attempt to bring proof from somewhere else? So Dilma Shani Hassan Diles La Aimsa Debal Cloud. Over there, maybe it's different. Maybe over there they can say maybe the reason why in that case is when a woman is normally married to a regular guy, quote unquote, right? So she's fearful of or perhaps inappropriate behavior because she's living in her husband's house. But over here, right? There's no husband, right? There's no husband around. There's no husband to be fearful. He's crazy, right? She can do what she wants. So then Beis Din steps in. So maybe since that was the case, so therefore maybe that was maybe that case is different because that case is do we go ahead and warrant to lose? But other cases, maybe she already is pro-warned because she's with her husband and she knows better. And therefore, since she knows better, maybe she does not need a warning, and she would lose her ksuba immediately if she was acting in a behavior which is considered to be averes al das. Iboilu, next question. Averes al das, what's about the kaima? Let's say she was averes al das, and the husband says, "You know what? I can't do any better. I'll stick with her." So mekaima or ain't mekaima. Is he allowed to go ahead and stay with her, or is he not? And do we say do we say that the Torah says it depends what the husband cares about and he doesn't care? Right? Or since the Torah, right, is makbid and the woman should not behave in such a way, if she does that, then he has to go ahead and leave her. So Tashma, come on, listen. And these are the ones that the Beis Din goes ahead and warns. So So once again, we want to bring a proof from the last part of our Mishnah. So basically, go ahead and warn on behalf of someone who became a deaf mute, or became crazy, or was locked up in Beis Yisurim. And if you want to say that if the husband wants to keep her, Mekayim gives out a keeper. So Avdi Beis Din Midei the Dilmaloi Nichale Labal, right? So who gave them the authority? How can they act on behalf of the husband? Perhaps the husband is okay, let her do what she wants. I'm in jail. What am I going to do? Right? Better that at least when I got out of jail, she's still waiting for me, even though she's doing whatever she wants now. So maybe the husband's not good with it, if it depends on what he wants. So the answer is no. Stam the milsa kevin the veras hadas he minach nechala. Now, the milsa is that the assumption is that the husband would be makbid, or if the husband wasn't, deaf mute, if he knew what was going on, or if he wasn't crazy, then he would care about her behavior. Fine. Next case. Iboilu bal shemachal al kinuv. So let's say he warns her, and he says, "You know what? I'll rescind that warning." Right? Create a big fight. And how's okay? Fine, you're officially unwarned. Now, kino of machal or eda machal with witnesses, right? She was hanging around Bob, and he didn't like it, and he warned her in front of witnesses. Hey, stay away from Bob. And she comes on his night. He goes, "Where's dinner?" She goes, "Serve yourself." Next night, comes home, comes back from work. Where's dinner? Once again, make yourself. Okay, fine. I'll take away back the warning. All right, so we'll do that. So now that's the question of Gemara. So do we say Miyamrina Bikinoi the Baal Tali Rachmana Ubalhu Machule Likinov? Do we say that it depends on the husband? The husband is able to be Michael his warning. Or Dilma Kevan the Kanile Mekarale Mati Machule. Once he warned and that's it, you can't go ahead and take it back. So Toshma, come listen. Veilusha Basim Makanin Lehen. So these are the ones that basically go ahead and warn. Case of a husband who went crazy, deafblind, or he's locked in jail. Now, so if you say that the husband, if he wants to go ahead and rescind his warning, can be rescinded. So right? So would we based in go ahead and go through that? And the husband hears, "Oh, she was warned." You okay? I rescind it, and therefore the based went through all that, and he just rescinded it. Right? So would they do something that the husband can just simply snap his finger and say, "I rescind that"? So the Gemara answers once again, step of the milsa adam maskim al das basin. Right? So the milsa is that no person would agree with that which basin does, and therefore he would not go ahead and rescind it. Tashma, come listen. Umaysin lay shnei tamid chachamim. So when they go ahead and travel, let's say from their town out in whatever, Netanya, whatever, who knows, right? They're traveling to Jerusalem. So we sent along with them two Talmidei Chachamim to accompany them. Shema Yaval B'derech. because he might have relations with her. We know that if the husband has relations with her from the time that she was, made a sota until she drinks the waters, then the waters do not work. They're ineffective. He's not allowed to be with her. So we said to Tamid Chachamim to escort him to make sure nothing happens. Now, if you say that a husband who goes ahead is Michael on the warning, it's good. So if that's the case, let him go ahead and be Michael. Says, sir, you can't stay in the same room in the hotel with your wife. You stay in separate rooms. That's why we're here. Says, okay, I rescind it, and
We're one step past it already.
what do you mean?
Because she already was, first he warns her, and now she was with the guy.
So where do you get to that? All right. So if you can go ahead and rescind it like it never happened, right? Something is much like it never happened. So therefore, okay, you want to try this right now. I'm halachically not allowed to be with my wife, right? Because she's a sota. But I could change that if I uproot it and say, right? So that's like could be both. So the Gemara says no. Why is it Tamid Chachamim? It's a gemiri. Right? So maybe that's the reason why, right? Maybe you want to say that what's the reason why you have Tamid Chachamim, right? That if he wants to go ahead and be with her, maybe they'll teach him that, hey, you could be with her. She's not a sota anymore, but you can go ahead and be Michaelit, and therefore technically you can go ahead and have relations with her. Just we're not going to Jerusalem anymore, right? You're going to turn around and go back. So Tashma Dam Rabbi Yesha Shleisha Dvarim Sachli Zeira Me'anshe Yishalayim. There are three things that were told to me regarding being Chayzer being Michael from Zeira Me'anshe Yishalayim. Baal Shemacha Kinav Machel, that a husband, right, if he wants to go ahead and be Michael on his kinoi, on his warning, then he's Machel. The Zakein Mamre Shiratza Basin Limchal Lo Michael. That a Zakein Mamre, let's say you have one of the Sanhedrin. He has a ruling against the other Sanhedrin, he insists on it, and basically he's called the Zaken Mamre, right? He's a Zaken who's rebelling against the other members of the court, and he's, I think it's Chayim Misa, right? So nevertheless, the other Beis Din says, you know what, he's a good guy, let's just, we'll send him into his retirement early, but we'll be Michael, and therefore we don't have to go ahead and kill him. So Michael, I can do that. Also Ben Saramara, Shiratzu Avi V'ima Limchalo, also parents of Ben Saramara, if they want to go to be Michael, no. Then when I get to my friends over there in the south, two of them, they agreed with me. But they didn't agree with the Zaken Mamre, they agreed with the Ben Saramara, they agreed in the case of the Sota, but did not agree with the Zaken Mamre. In order that there would not be Machlekes B'Yisrael, therefore Zaken Mamre, they were not allowed to be like Michael al Kfoidim. So Shmami, no, nevertheless, let's learn from here. Baal Shamacha Kinov Shmami. However, Pligi ba Rav Acha v'Ravina. Chad Omar Koidem Stira Machol, Le'acha Stira Machol. One says, like Alan asked, right? Says, maybe only can happen before the stira, right? Before she was ever, seen in seclusion. But after seclusion, that's too late already. You can't take it back, right? It's like right? Which actually would be like the teres before, because the teres before was when the Tamid Chachamim we're going to say, okay, you want to be with her. Obviously, she was already seen in seclusion because that's why they're going to Yerushalayim. So you can even be Michael after. However, is mistaver to say that it's not like those who say you can still be Michael after the stira, after the seclusion. Mimai, because that which the Rabbanan said to Rabbi Yasi, the time of the Rabbi. So we saw this earlier. Also, Rabbi Yasi Aimer Balanem Analeh Mikal V'Chaim. So we say that so now the husband can no longer be live together with the wife until they go to Beis Din, right? Until they go to Beis Din and clear things up with the sota water. Rabbi says we're talking about the husband should believe that he's allowed to go ahead and live with her. So the nida, which is a very, very severe, carries a kares penalty. Nevertheless, the man is a neman to be with her. So sota she belav lo kosher, and certainly a sota is only a lav. Certainly you should be trusted. No, nida is different. Shechen yesh laheter, because nida, okay, he'll wait a week or two and then he'll be fine. right? Term of a sota, she'en la heter, as it was a sota, or at least a guilty sota, right? That once she drinks, she's going to die. So there might never be a chance. There might never be a heter, and therefore, right? That's an argument to say that it's not. You can't compare, right? You can't say it's a kal v'chomer. Now, and if you say that even after stira, when she's put in this predicament, right now it's either drink the sota waters or get divorced, but you can't be with your husband. So you can you can find it. There's a davar sheish laheter. How so? He can go ahead and be Michael, and it can be Baal, right? Elo shmamina must be la'achar stira ein abachal shmamina. Even so, after the stira, then he cannot be Michael shmamina. Indeed, learn from there. Fine.
So the next kasha is a good kasha on that whole answer of it.
Yeah. So over there, right? Because this is shmamina, right? Right. First is Pilek was okay. This is a pligi. Okay, it's machlokes. Some of that the Gemara was going like that. But now, but this is only a teretz over there because we wanted to go ahead and bring a proof from a Mishnah, and we tried to deflect it by using that Mishnah. Fine. To that from the bottom, Mesu Ba'alehed. So let's say in a standard case, the husband dies before they drink. So the machlokes Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai says you can go ahead and she collects her ksuba, but she can't drink. And Beis Hillel says, you know what? I'm sorry to tell you, but the only way to get your ksuba is by drinking. And since you can't drink, you can't get your money. So my commitment. So what's the machlokes are than Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel? So Beis Shammai savi shtar ha'imei legava is kigavas davi. So Beis Shammai says that since there's a written document that says she has a lien on his properties, so therefore it's as if it's already collected. Therefore, since that came, let's say, before the children, so therefore she has the right to ksuba before any of the Yorshin. To Beis Hillel. And I was also very pleased when I was preparing and I turned over the page and I saw this, right? Beis Hillel Sabi also showing me the gabe slav the gabe dam, right? And Beis Hillel also said Beis Hillel argues. He says no, showing me the gabe slav the gabe dam. It's not collectible, and therefore now she's like a new toin. She's a new claimant to the estate. And therefore, her claim to the estate does not go ahead of the Yorshin. Therefore, she has to bring proof she doesn't get it because she does not come ahead of the Yorshin. The Yorshin come ahead of her. Fine. And because she's a suffix, right? She's a suffix, and they're about it.
She still has to drink.
No, she can't drink. According to Beis Hillel, everyone agrees she's not allowed to drink. So Beis Hillel says, since you can't drink, you can't get any money. You're only a suffix toiveya.
Right.
You might have a claim to your ksuba, you might not. We don't know, and therefore the Yorshin are definitely his kids definitely inherit him. You get nothing unless you prove to me you're innocent, but you're not allowed to drink because only the husband can make her drink. The husband's dead; he can't make her drink anymore. So therefore, she's out of luck, according to Beis Hillel. So that's what Beis Hillel said. Now, Mulberes Chavero. So in the case of Mulberes Chavero, Omer Rav Nachman.
What's the case?
Case was that he went ahead and married his wife's. It was actually even funny. I know, but it's funny actually. Married a pregnant woman, but the funny thing is that sometimes when the quote from the Mishnah is b'chule, it's actually not going on that line. So, but anyways, that case was when he married someone too early. You really need 2 years while she's nursing or she's pregnant to wait till the child's 2 years in order that Chazal say you cannot marry her, and therefore if she married her, he should really technically not be with her. Therefore, we don't let him drink because if you drink, you're returning to a woman who you're really forbidden to be with. So therefore, we say, you can't drink, you don't get your ksuba, out of here. But the next case was if it was a bacher who was married to an islandess or someone as a zaken or someone who can have children, also he shouldn't be with her because he has an obligation of puravu and he can't fulfill it with this woman. So Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rav Avua, machlekes b'karav zakena. We're only talking about someone who was an akara, right? I guess she did something, right? Baron or zakena. But islandess, divrei hakol lo shaisa. Right, because in the other case, right, when someone who was an akara or a zakena, right, at some point, right, they were able to have children. I'm just looking at Rashi, right? Right, fine. So, but in the case of islandess, right? However, in the case of islandess, then it would not. Shenar, as the pasuk says, v'naksa v'nizra, right? Then over there. That I guess she was, if she will be, clean from Aveira, then she will give birth. All right. So Misha Darka lahazriya. So that's someone who is so yatzaza shein darka lazriya. So exclude an islandess, right, who was never fit to have children. So therefore,
even though we learned previously that because
the Mishnah is different.
married somebody else.
Right. So that right. So in the Mishnah, so it says no, we're only talking. Actually, argues in the Mishnah, right? So
Focus mission, no?
yeah. The machloek is only by them, but right, even though but everyone agrees by the case of the islandess.
Right.
Yeah, it does not. Right. That was right over here towards the top, I think. Kohenes before that.
It's right in the middle of the.
Right in the middle.
No doubt.
Oh, well, Chav Gimel. Yeah, there's
Oh,
two-
Chav Gimel.
yeah, there's
Too
two
long
long
tonight.
missions. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like almost identical looking.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Islandess was Kena Shena Ruya Lele, Suba Leshai says Rabbi Eliezer Aimer Yachol Lisa Isha Acheres. Right. So now,
So this says that they're really not arguing.
even right on islandess or not, Rabbi Eliezer would agree. Now, Meisve, so now,
I mean, his whole argument that they fully saw Shacheres, so that's.
Right.
He's saying an islandess is not even in the Parsha of Sota Bechlal because that's.
Right, like the man, right.
The Niksab and Isra Azara cannot apply to her at all.
Right.
Although the other two, the Akara doesn't apply to her anymore, even though it may apply to her once.
right, at some point, or the Zakena, at some point they're in the Parsha, right?
Yeah, he could have had someone before, so he was proved.
No. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about right now a Bacher right now. I think they call a Bacher someone who's not had children. Now, actually, this next case is going to take us deep into Amud Aleph, but just have that mentally in mind. So fine. Basically, it moves, but it goes now. One who goes ahead and warns is a Rusa or is a Shomeres Yavam. His brother was married to her and he died, and now he's waiting for that, and he warns her. If before he ever took her in Yibum or took her for marriage, now we're going to have a long brayso, 7 halachas, some of which we've seen already.
Why are we going backwards now?
Because we're going to ask a kasha on the islandess. Islandess is going to be, of course, mentioned at the end of a long brayso. Right? That's how it works. Right. So if she was secluded before, she does not go ahead and drink or get her ksuba. Now, muberes chavero umenekas chavero. Now, the case of he married a woman who was just previously married to somebody else, doesn't have to be his friend, right? But she was either pregnant, already nursing, and we said you got to wait till the baby is 2. You can't go ahead and do it. You make her drink, she loses her ksuba because you should not go ahead and marry her. And if he does go ahead and he marries her, then you have to divorce her. And you can never take her back. It's a punishment. It's a kanas. No, argument says, no, there is no kanas such a case. After 2 years, you go ahead and remarry her. Right, and one who goes ahead and he's a young guy that he married right. I think Rashi is Bacher, right? Was it Rashi? Yeah, Bacher, right? Yeah, Bacher, come on, yell right? Young lad, right? He's never had a wife or children before. You can't go ahead and make her drink and get her ksuba because he shouldn't have been married in the first place. And Rabbi Elazar, no, Rabbi said, no, you can go ahead and marry somebody else, right? Someone to Rabbi Elazar in a Mishnah. If he goes ahead and he warrants his arusa or shemeres yavam shelo, and once he marries her, then so then she has an option to go ahead and drink if she likes to prove her innocence, or you can walk away and take your get with no ksuba. If it was his own wife who was pregnant or nursing and she became a sota, then she is, just because a woman is pregnant, we don't say, hey, you can't go ahead and drink. We're worried about the fetus, right? No, you can go ahead and drink. And harayva shenasa akarv zakena v'yesh leisho banim. Let's say there was somebody who married a woman and you already had children. V'yesh leisho banim. So then is a regular woman. And Eishes mamzer lemamzer v'Eishes nesin l'nesin v'Eishes ger v'Evid meshuchra v'Eilinus. In all these cases, a woman, a wife of mamzer to a mamzer, or a nesin to a nesin, or Eishes ger Evid meshuchra v'Eilinus, or an Eilinus. Right, which is why we brought this. Either they can drink or not take their ksuba. So what do you mean? Ktani biha says over here, in the Bryce of Farish. So islandess says Ktani biha islandess. It says islandess. So now an islandess could drink. So what is this whole thing? Rav Nachman brought the pasuk, right? Of an Izra Zera, right? So I too to Rav Nachman. It'll be Kashan Rav Nachman. Some of the Rav Nachman. I might even get to the two right? This is Rav Nachman. So no, tonight it's a machlokes tonight. But on the Amri ki Tan, and I hold like a different time. The Tani when the Rabbi Rishon ben Azar Amer Alanis Leishos Leinoitla Ksua Shnamar V'Niksa V'Nizra Zera. So Farish the Tana Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, he holds that. So Misha Darkal Azria Yatzazash ain't Darkal Azria, right? Only somebody who is the nature of this person at any point to go ahead and give birth, and this one's excluded. I've Rabbana
Because of the fact that she's promised children.
right.
Drinks.
She drinks, then
and
she'll be
she's innocent.
right.
So
Exactly. Rabbanan high Niksav Nizra Zera Mayami. What do they do this pasuk? So we use it for something else. Look at the Tani when it Bryce. It says over there Niksav Nizra Zera. It says over there that she will be proven innocent and then she'll give birth. Shimhais Akara Nivkadas. That if she was an Akara before, then now she's having problems having children. Now this is a good way to get children. That's a bit of Rabbi Kiva. Some of the Rabbi Shmuel. So you think the Jews are dumb? In Cain. Yisro kol hakarais v'yivgadu, right? They're gonna play the system.
This is the pakana of
Yeah.
the Eloise.
Right.
The hysteris, and then she'll-
Here's what we'll do. Okay, we'll plan for you to be in seclusion, right? You'll then go ahead and you'll be in seclusion. Then I'll make you a sota. We'll make you drink. You're gonna show your innocence, and then you'll be able to have children, right? You don't have to, go to the doctors and professionals, all that. We'll do this. Right, so that's what Rabbi Shmuel is saying. The Hoyav Lanistra Afsida. So in Cain, if that's so, therefore, so we can't have them game system. Therefore, so Matam Mar Veniksav and Izazera, Shame Haisa, you let us, but Sar, you let us Birach. Right now, if she had difficult, pregnancies and you gave birth, so therefore it'll be easier. The Keva is the other Zakharim. She only had females and she'll have males. Katsarim is Haruchim, or if they're short, they'll be tall. Shcharim is Levan. If they're dark, they'll be lighter complexion. So you see, it's not necessarily the type of woman to exclude an islandess. Rather, it's coming to teach you that afterwards you'll be blessed. That'll be easier birth and easier and better children, quote unquote. Stop here. And centers in your basketball team. We'll stop here.